Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. God, I hate saying that sentence. That's why I don't do intros, because I don't like saying that sentence. But I just wanted to say that before we get into this video, if I don't sound like myself or if I look a bit like pale, it's because I haven't been feeling well recently. But I thought that instead of, lying about doing nothing, I'd get up and do something I like, which is filming videos. So today's video is going to be on how I got a 9 or an A star in GCSE RE. If you didn't know, if you're new here, hi, my name's Radhika and I'm filming a GCSE series on my channel because so many people are going back to school after 5 months of doing nothing, and I just want to help people. And the best way that I can, share revision tips and stuff is through an online platform like YouTube. So if you don't want to miss on any of these videos, then I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe, and if you turn on the notifications, then you will never miss a video. So let's just get into it because I don't like rambling. My first tip on how I got an A star in GCSE RE is to memorize your scripture. Scripture forms the basis of nearly every part of RE depending on what course you're with or what exam board you're with. Scripture is needed for backing up your answers, or you might have to completely retell a story. But regardless, it's really important. So to learn my scripture, what I would do was open my voice memos app on my iPhone and then just sit there and record myself saying stories out loud. I would play some of them, but they're so embarrassing because I would do English accents or Welsh accents or Scottish accents. I did a whole thing from Harry Potter as well. I did Hermione's voice, I did Hagrid's voice. It's really embarrassing, but regardless, it helped me learn the scripture that was needed for the exam, and I think that really helped me get good marks because I literally knew it off by heart, and I would just listen to it, before going to bed or when I was doing a workout. Instead of playing music, I listened to that, which, as cringy and embarrassing as it sounds, it really did work, and I do think that is the best way to learn scripture. My next piece of advice is to check out BBC Bitesize because it is so good if you are a GCSE RE student. You can find so many good points for backing up your arguments or revising scripture. There are tips on that as well. Exam practice questions. You can also test yourself, which is really good. I personally use BBC Bitesize if I had a 10 marker, for example, and I just needed some good alternative points to the ones in my notes, because examiners really like to find interesting answers. So if you want to stand out from everyone else, then I would say check out BBC Bitesize. Maybe make a list of all your best points and then just learn those. My next tip is to read news articles on relevant topics. This is kind of subjective depending on which exam board you're with, but I was with CCEA and we had a paper on specifically just ethics. So topics which came under that would be abortion or euthanasia or war, and I've personally found it really useful to read news articles on relevant topics surrounding that. For example, I was doing the paper, was meant to be doing the paper in 2020, but then for my mock exam, we had covered, I think, abortion and euthanasia already in class. So I went online and just searched up abortion and then searched up euthanasia, then went under the news tab in Google, and then I just read all the news articles that were there by BBC or The Guardian or The Telegraph. And that was really good because I was able to back up my answers with real life news that was happening in the world at that minute. It also just helps you gain a really good understanding of the topic, because when you understand something, then it's just really easy to write an answer regardless of what the question says. I don't know if that's useful for everyone, but it really did help me because I like knowing exactly what I'm talking about. I just can't learn everything off a page, and it's really good to gain a global, view of what other people think as well, because you can talk about, what abortion's like in China or India or the UK, or in Northern Ireland. It was different a few years ago. The laws were different compared to the rest of the UK, and now they've changed. So I talked about that in some of my answers as well. And it's just really easy whenever you know exactly what you're talking about and you know exactly how you can back up your answers with real life situations and scenarios. My next tip is super simple, but it's common sense, and I still think it's pretty important to say, and that is to spot trends in past paper questions. You're going to be doing your exam, I presume, if you're watching this in 2021. If a question came up in the 2018 paper saying retell the story of the Syrophoenician woman's daughter, the chances of that question or a similar question on the Syrophoenician woman's daughter coming up in 2019 are slim. So therefore, there's no point in learning that story. Do not quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure stories for exams in RE are repeated every 2 or 3 years. So if it came up in 2018, it could come up in 2020. Likewise, if it came up in 2019, it will come up in 2021. That's not certain, but I did notice a small trend when I was looking at stories for my exam. In 2012, if a question came up saying retell the story of Jairus' daughter, then it came up in 2015 and then 2018. So I would say look into that and don't spend too much time over analyzing papers. But it's just something to note that if it came up last year, it's really not going to come up this year. So there's really no point in spending hours and stressing over learning that particular story. I have no idea what tip I'm on. I think I'm on the 5th one. My editing self will put it on the screen. But my next tip is to be realistic with yourself. Is your opinion getting in the way of you getting that A star or 9? Let's say I got this question. You might agree with this statement and you might automatically go, okay, I'm going to write an answer which totally agrees with this question. But it could be easier to disagree, and that's literally because there could be more disagree points than agree points, and it would take you less time to think of the disagree points than to sit down and be like, oh god, I'm running out of points. I just can't come up with these many points to back up my answer. I know RE is like a sensitive subject, especially some of the topics that you study when you come to year 12 or year 11 if you're in England. Ethics can be quite like, can be a bit sensitive and emotional at times, but it's really important to not let yourself get swayed by your opinions and emotions, and you gotta think logically, because at the end of the day, the examiner is just going to mark what they see, and it's okay to disagree or agree. You know, I think that's the beauty of RE. There's no really right or wrong answer, but each point that you make does hold marks and value. So just don't get swayed by your opinion. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's easier to disagree because there are simply more disagree points than agree points. Even if you don't disagree, that doesn't make you a bad person. I don't know, this one's like difficult to explain, but just don't get swayed by your opinions, guys. And finally, my last tip is to make sure that you've actually answered the question and just make sure that your answer flows. RE is a really tight subject when it comes to time. Like literally, it's so fast, the exam, because you've got so many 5-mark questions and so many 10-mark questions, and it can just seem really overwhelming. But you gotta say to yourself, have I actually answered this question, and does the answer make sense? Does your answer have an introduction? Does your answer have at least 6 good points for one side of the argument and then 4 other points for the disagree side? And have I added a conclusion? Oh, and here's a tip. It's actually really good to add a conclusion to your answer and say, in conclusion, blah blah blah, because I feel like I used to always get an extra mark for doing that in my exam. I always did that, and I always got a mark for the conclusion part. So make sure you add a conclusion, even if it's just 1 sentence. Do it. So that is the end of this video. I'm sorry if that was a bit rambly and all over the place. I've just not been feeling myself lately. I've been feeling a bit lightheaded, and sleep, don't even get me started. But I thought rather than sitting about doing nothing, I mean, all I was gonna do was watch Netflix anyway, I thought I'd get up and film a video for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was useful. All the timestamps will be down in the description box, so the video should be divided into like little sections, which means that you can skip to any part that you want to go to, I suppose. If you didn't know, I am doing a GCSE series on my channel, which means next week's video will also be GCSE related. I'm not sure about the week after. I don't really plan that far. And yeah, I hope it was actually worthwhile, and I hope that you get that 9 or A star, depending on where you are in the UK, in GCSE RE. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and also turn on the notifications so you don't miss a video. I upload every Friday at 6 PM, and most of my videos are set as premieres, which means we can engage in like the live chat and also the comments. And that is the end of this video. I hope you get the 9 or A star. I will never ever get into the habit of saying 9. My brain is just computed to say A star every time I think of a subject. I don't want to continue rambling on, so I'm just gonna go now. Bye!